Hi, my name is Ronan Fitzgibbon. I'd like to welcome you to Imaginings, a showcase of ideas. Each year, the Imagine Arts Festival aims to commission new work and support artists. In the past, we've commissioned dance, film, music and theatre. This year, we decided to do an open call, and from the large number of applicants we received, these three artists we felt had something important to say and show. Our hope is that these three will be commissioned to develop their work further, and one of them will be premiered at next year's festival. With the whole COVID-19 situation, we changed at very short notice from this being a live event to being recorded. I want to thank all of the participants for their flexibility and congratulate them on the quality of the work they've produced. This evening there will be 3 short pieces by our artists, each one of which will be followed by a brief Q&A. First up is Marble Face. Yasmin Mello is a choreographer, director, performer and dance teacher. Marble Face was written by Kieran Lawless, with Yasmin creating the movement and choreography. It is a dance horror monologue. It follows Annika, a strong and dark woman that in her infinite ambition and pursuit of power discovers a demonic creature who she has the ability to summon. It is a sort of modern witchcraft tale, focusing on a character that is not particularly likable, that is even cruel at times, but that is incredibly human in the way that she falls captive to her own desires. I hope you enjoy.
Last Friday I saw the creature for the first time. I was with Michael in a cafe on the main thoroughfare in Lisbon. We were drinking coffee and he was slobbering over me like he usually does, like a dog with a piece of meat. And Melissa, who sits beside us in criminal law, comes over, gives me the briefest little hi, leans into Michael and starts talking to him. I closed my eyes and looked away from her. I wanted to drag my nails down her face, on one side and then on the other. I could see myself doing it, and I could feel that urge rising up inside of me. I opened my eyes and I was looking out through the plate glass windows at the crowds of shoppers and tourists. And I thought, what if they knew I could do this? Or what if they knew I had the power to do much worse? Wouldn't they be afraid? I was enjoying musing at the pain and torment I could inflict on Melissa when I saw something emerging, like a dark smudge, like a smoker's black cough coming out of the crowd and gliding up to the plate glass in front of me. My grandmother was the mother of a saint, like I'll never forget that, pleaded with me before I was exiled to always be prepared for something like this to arrive. She walked straight up to the cafe and her marble face loomed down at me and she began whispering. Her words were like a stagnant flood washing through my mind. In that instant I knew we were connected, and that I was a new piece in an old puzzle and part of something broken and scattered into the world's winds. You wouldn't understand unless you were thrown out of house and home and cut loose into the uncertainty of the world. My family taught me how to fear hell in Judaica, but it was here on earth that the pain has been done to me. On that day, on the thoroughfare, I saw an image, a projection summoned from the spirit world, and it vanished just as soon as it appeared. I was looking for a dream journal and I found this. It must have been my mother's mother's mother's. I can't let it dry if I want to open it. I need to keep it wet. If I let it dry, it will clump up like a hard rock of dumb and mute paper. I wondered what was in it. Were there recipes, accounts of life in Lisbon? Were there even incantations? When I wake from some dreams, I feel like something vitally important was just explained to me, very carefully. And for a moment, I understand, I really understand. Then it's gone and I'm on the edge of a deep well of mortal panic and I'm sleeping in. Then that goes too. I'm at the bottom of an ocean. It's cold, like here, and dark and wet, like here. And I can see up, up, up to the surface, and there is a deep blue sky and a spinning egg-like sun embedded. But it brightens nothing. I feel no heat from it. I'm too far away. And is there with me. She's a great fish swimming between me and the egg sun, and parts of her flesh begin to fall off and land on me, sticking to my face, but that somehow makes me rise higher and higher. And just as I'm about to break free from the ocean and feel the sun and breathe the air, my face gets completely covered. Then I realize I'm here. I learn how to uncover my eyes, how to see clearly again. But then it all begins to fade. Maicon suggested I keep a dream journal. I've been telling him a little bit more about myself, but not that I was visited by the spirit of a demon. It was last Saturday, after we slept together. He told me inner things, nothing shocking or taboo, but still thorns that he kept deeply buried. I didn't want those soft, round eyes to be disapproving, or his warm mouth to smirk at me as I told him of my witchcraft family, so I kept it mundane. The ritual is almost ready now. If you were here, you would feel it. The electricity, the cold, the twisting and turning in the air. I feel her coming, her presence, her energy is pressing through the void that separates us and Judaica. I can see her face and the blackness that appears when we close our eyes. It's all rage and desperation. I can hear her crying out. It's as loud as a whisper in my mind, and it's getting louder and louder. She was banished because she was ungodly. She was impure because she hurt those that hurt her. Eyes for eyes, teeth for teeth. If someone hits you, hit them back tenfold. I told Maicon about the man who tricked me and that I hurt them, but he didn't leave. He said he could help me. I said no, but he knew better. Why do they always know better? The man who hurt me, I'll never forgive. And my family, I won't return until I can do to them what they did to me. I won't let them cast me away. I'll grab them and pull them around and say, "Look at me. Am I not your daughter? Look at me. I'm not gone like yesterday's shadow. I am here. I still live and breathe. Did you hear that? I felt something touching me. Fingernails on my arm. There again, he's here in the room with us. As soon as I turn my back on someone, the knives come out. So I call on the Daedrit from her throne in Judaica, held aloft above an ocean of fire. Goddess of vengeance and cracked throats, bind your servant to me. Goddess of betrayal and of satisfaction, make me its mistress. Goddess of cacophony and of furious tears, I, Anica Adalgisa Oliveira, sangue de oura da cruz, give my heart and soul to you, Blood Queen. Now give me power, grant me satisfaction.
Well, welcome
Hello.
back.
Hello.
So I'm here with Yasmin and Kieran for a bit of a Q&A following that. I hope you all enjoyed it. Well done, guys.
Thank
Quite
you.
something. So can I just remind anyone watching on YouTube that you can ask any questions you might have in the comments box there, and hopefully we'll get through a few anyway. So I have one question in, which was about the relationship between movement and text. Is that something that you're interested in general, or was something that was specific to the project?
It's a new development in my career. I have been looking for ways to explore both things. And it's quite new for me to have that much dialogue to work with. But it's what I'm interested in going towards now with my new works.
Right. And something you'd like to explore further in the project going forward? Would you see
Yeah,
more text?
definitely. I was trying to find a balance between how much monologue, or there's also a little bit of voiceover that we worked with. So how to balance the monologue, voiceover, and movement, and how to have that the text being something that is layering the movement instead of the other way around.
Okay. All right. I see what you mean. I suppose you were directing and performing this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How did you find that?
It was very intensive. I had a week of intensive work on it in July. And it was very unique being in the studio on my own, having to direct myself and keep on track of everything that I wanted to cover, and learning what was that I wanted to explore with the material all by myself. But it was very interesting, and I think I got to know a little bit more about myself through Anica.
Sorry, I kind of lost you there for a second.
Oh, okay. I at the end, I just said that I think I got to know a little bit about myself through exploring the character.
Right. Okay. Is it a personal story? I mean, is it something that's been brewing in you for a while?
It started like that. Yes, it was a moment where I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed. When I first started working with the idea of doing a dance horror monologue, I felt like I couldn't deal with my own emotions. And then I just saw this image in my head, and I started playing with the idea of having someone that just gives in to her most inner desires,
Right.
and it's not afraid of it. And then I also, over time, it developed into the desire to play a villain, someone that it's not a likable person, but that somehow you feel just interested in learning more about.
Sure. Another question that's come in here is about the limitations and the restrictions of, I mean, I hardly want to say the word of COVID. How did you find those restrictions? I mean, and having to film it, did that maybe help? Did it free you up in a way, maybe?
I guess during the first stages of the research, it was good because I was on my own in the studio, so it really gave me the freedom to experiment a lot with the material, not worrying too much where I wanted to go. And then just the second part where we went to filming, it gave me a new look over the material that I hadn't reached before when I was on my own. So having the camera and having someone filming it definitely helped me thinking about where I want to go further in the process now.
I think though, yeah, the limitations worked out well because there was only 3 of us on set. We were working with Peter O'Brien, a friend of ours, a cinematographer, and he's like a one-man film company. And I think if we had more options, more people, more ideas, it could be more complicated, more things could go wrong. And I think we both really liked what we did a week and a half ago. We shot this. And we won't really like it. And I think if we had everything, all our options are open to us, I think we could have overcomplicated it, and it would have been props and locations and it would have been messy. But I think that the great thing about working with Yasmin is that I know if I write something that I think is kind of interesting, she will create a much more interesting movement and dance and expression and the simplicity of the set framed that expression, I think really well. So I think it really worked. I think the simplicity, the fact that it was only 3 people, and I did nothing on the set. It was those 2 people really. There was this Yasmin and the cinematographer and the cameraman. That was it. I think that really worked.
Well, sometimes limitations can be freeing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where creativity comes from a lot of the time.
Super. Well, I guess we better move on now, guys. But thank you very much for sending that in. And
thank you for the
it was great. Really enjoyed it. Well done. All right. We're going to move on to, next up is Calling in Sick by Anya O'Hara. Anya is an award-winning maker focused largely on documentary theatre. She's passionate about making provocative work for and about marginalised communities. In 2016, she became chronically ill, and in 2018 was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Since then, she has had to reshape how she creates work as an artist with a disability. She wants to investigate whether or not disabled people can ever truly be equal in a capitalist society. She's interested in creating work that explores healthcare utopias and game shows where your prize is treatment. She's exploring whether political protests and artistic actions can actually change the law in this country, and how disabled people have been overlooked within the COVID-19 crisis. I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you for Q&A afterwards. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm here with Anya to have a few questions from the audience. Just to remind you, if you do have any questions, you can put them in the comments box there on YouTube. Thank you very much and well done. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
We have a few questions that have come in already. The first is about the experience of working with something that is personal to you, and what was that experience like in terms of minding something so personal?
I suppose you definitely have to look after yourself and kind of try and separate as much as is possible kind of what you're creating from your own experience, because it can be very difficult when you're researching something like disability or accessibility, especially, it can be easy to start spiraling, thinking about your own experiences. I suppose that I would set sort of definite hours where I'm working and try to always make sure to relax afterwards and to sort of unwind and separate myself from the subject a little bit so that I could keep a work life balance and not get too caught up in it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a hard balancing act because you want to be true to your own experience but keep yourself safe as well.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming, but I do also find it quite therapeutic, because I like to draw attention to subjects that aren't talked about that often, or that people might not know about. I find it really helpful, and I find art a really good way to kind of share information and make other people understand your experiences in a much clearer way than you could if you just sort of told them.
Yeah. You're coming in through the side door sort of thing.
Yeah, just sneak it in.
Yeah. I have a question here about where would you see the work being produced in future? Because obviously it's very kind of it's a very quiet, contemplative sort of piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's important to say that this piece that I've presented here is a sort of section of a larger work. And I sort of see it sitting within a longer theatre piece that would sort of include dialogue and different sections like that. I really wanted to show this piece because I find that kind of monotonous, ritual kind of movement very powerful within performance. And I think that it's a great way to get audiences to contemplate lived experience, especially lived experiences of pain or disability or kind of dealing with the healthcare system. I suppose, to answer, I would see it within a larger theatrical piece. I'm a designer, and the two sets of chairs that are in the I designed them specifically for this, and I think that set design for me is a huge part of theatre and of performance. So I would love to see it in an actual theatre where I could take over the whole space and make everyone be in the waiting room, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly that kind of silence. It does very funny things to your own awareness of your own body when you're having to sit and you suddenly become aware of the weight of yourself and the feeling and discomforts and all that. So it's a great way of getting into it.
Trying to make you all uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the aim of it. I just want to ask you as well about the relationship between the text and audio and performance and all that sort of stuff. You were saying that you would like to have dialogue if you were to expand it. How would you, even in terms of the piece that you just showed us there, if that was a live piece, how would you see the text interacting with the performance?
I suppose I've been working a lot with different ways to have audiences in spaces, and I'm really interested in work where you're interacting with the audience. I would love a piece where kind of audiences are in the waiting room with me, and I speak to them both as a patient and sort of under the role of doctor or healthcare professional. I'm kind of trying to investigate ways that that can be a big installation where we're all sort of sitting together, and that the dialogue, which would be sort of planned and written, appears to be quite conversational, and I'm really interested in like one-to-one sort of interactions with audience members as part of the performance, I suppose.
As a kind of immersive piece.
Yeah.
Super. Yeah, we have some comments here. People are very much enjoying the contrast of the feel of it with this bright colorscape that you're using. You know, it's kind of Kafka's Waiting Room or something.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think because of my like design and art background, I kind of start looking at color and looking at like how I can get across the ideas, first of all with color and design, and then sort of like move to movement and dialogue and script after that. Like originally I was looking at like colors like green and those are kind of things that you typically think of, I suppose, when you think of like hospitals or waiting rooms. But this kind of bright, sort of like sickly, nauseating colors really ended up working much better for the piece. And I would love to like bring you into the actual space, but it is like when you're there, it's quite overpowering in the same way that like I have found, say, lots of A&E waiting rooms, doctors' waiting rooms. And I was trying to get across that kind of sort of the pain that the space puts on you, and like how like shocking and bright it often is, and how that can just make you feel much worse if you're coming into that space.
Well, I think we have to knock it on the head there and move on to our last contributor. But thank you very much for sharing it with us and for taking part in the Q&A. Last up is Shannon O'Reilly. Shannon is a writer from Waterford and a 2-time winner of the Sean Dunn Writers Award. In 2016, Shannon was chosen to take part in Ireland's Playwriting Festival Scripts. Since then, she's completed her Masters in Comparative Literature in Utrecht and is happy to be back living and writing in Ireland. The work you're about to see is called Dearest and explores the intimacy of connection within oneself and with others through the art of letter writing. Dearest explores the relationship a woman has with herself and others through a stream of diary entries and letters. Dearest explores what happens when a woman detaches herself from the internet and writes to the parts of herself that she would never share on screen. Enjoy.
Dearest, this isn't a love letter. I didn't think conversations about death happened in the aisle of an M&S, trying to decide whether you wanted a cookie or not. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it all, of your calming acceptance of a time where I did not want to live. My wrist held in the palm of your hand, as you listened to the memories of myself I didn't recognise, of a person who had thought it might be easier not to live. To live is the hardest thing. Most people just exist. You kiss my cheek, and I know I'll give you everything inside my head. I wonder why I find it so difficult to put my feelings into words. All I know is that I'm safe in myself, that I'm no longer looking for anything to hold me together, other than myself. I hear myself sing as I walk down the streets. I pause to feel the sun on my face. I wept the first morning that it felt like spring. I can feel the cold lift from my bones, knowing, like the roots, that spring is coming. And when you kiss my cheek, I know I'll give you everything inside my head. I've forgotten where I begin. I've forgotten what it feels like not to carry the smell of you on my skin. My hand curled into yours. My body is not a harbour for your loneliness, and I've never felt more beautiful. I sleep, safe, no longer this fearful, fretful thing. In the morning, when I stand in front of the mirror, I see my body anew, and can feel my own beating heart reminding me, I am. And when you kiss my cheek, I know I'll give you everything inside my head. Dearest, I'm becoming myself, and I've never loved her more. I've stopped picking flowers from the side of the road. He loves me not. A motif that had lingered since childhood. But I'm tired of this clingy, clawing self-doubt. He loves me not. I love me. Dearest, I tell you of those moments I couldn't breathe. How panic would tighten my chest. How I was full sure I was going to die. I've never gotten to do everything I wanted to do. Breathe slow. Just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Body, do your job. Keep me alive. Ground yourself. Hold on. You kiss my cheek, and I know I'll give you everything inside my head. Hold on. Spring is coming. I dream of my mother planting daffodils with my grandfather. And it feels so real that when I wake, I check my nails for the dirt I was patting down. It is a wonder that I'm dreaming of flowers again, that I'm still alive and at home in myself. Dearest, this is not a love letter. Instead, I'm writing to you to say you left all the lights on. You're already leaving your mark. I love you. I'm glad you exist. Then you hung up the phone. Dearest, I'll keep dancing in our kitchen, and we'll keep asking each other how each other's day was, even though we know the same, as always. Stopping to feel the sun on my face, stopping to smell the freshness of summer in the air, cooked grass, green elbows, fresh dirt, longer light. Stopping for the smell of clothes drying on the line. I want to call my mother and tell her I finally understand the joy of a good day for drying. I watch the birds as they eat. Wave the magpie away when it's singular. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. I wonder, have the birds become louder? Or do we just get to hear them more? I'm falling in love with these small miracles. Bird song, when there's orange juice in the fridge, laughter from the kitchen, your voice at the end of the phone. Dearest, I bought myself flowers today. Cut the stems and placed them on my windowsill. Elegance in an empty kombucha bottle. I've pressed petals between the pages of the books I love. I'm in love with the soft light of candles. I'm in love with the lights of golden air. I'm half in love with the nostalgia of looking back. Sometimes it is beautiful, and sometimes it's painful. Often, it's both. When I blow out the candles, I no longer make wishes. When I blow out the candles, I think about being woken up by the sunlight, knowing that there is still the promise of a new day. I wake to the nothing new, and the small miracle of orange juice in the fridge. Dearest, I'm writing you to say I love you. I'm glad you exist.
Hi, welcome back. I'm joined by Shannon after that. Thank you very much for sending that in. It's great.
Thanks, Ronan. How are you doing?
Sure, Grant. as the only answer you can give at these times. Listen, we've loads of questions coming in.
Okay.
The first one I have is about translating your idea from stage to screen, and how much you felt that this was enjoyable.
But really enjoyable. I actually want to say this piece was really collaborative. Hayley and Emma are part of this as much as I am, and it wouldn't have been possible without them. And the two of them are just fantastic to work with. And yeah, they made the transition really easy. But if I'd been by myself, I would have just been going nuts. But yeah, I didn't realize how difficult film was. I was like, yeah, we got this in the bag. And then I started and I was like, oh my God. It's a whole different ball game, but really enjoyed it.
So well done,
yeah,
though. Well done. It was a hard pivot.
For sure. I was like again, Hayley was really, really great because she was like great with direction, because I was like, we're not on stage anymore. I was like, I don't know how to act when we're all watching you being like, do it. So yeah, but it was really good fun.
Sorry, I lost your sound there for a second.
Sorry, I was basically just saying it was good crack.
Very good. It's always a good sign.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about unplugging? It seems to be kind of something that's kind of at the heart of the whole thing. And have your thoughts changed on that during this year of all years?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt a bit like ironic and, a bit of a millennial, because I deleted Instagram and then went back on Instagram to promote this film. But yeah, I definitely tried to get rid of my social media channels because, I just found it quite tough, like we're all going through the same thing, but then you're still like, oh, this person looks like they're coping much better. And yeah, I just was like, get rid of the screens, read a lot of books, started writing again, which was amazing. But yeah, like it took me a very, very long time to actually get rid of social media. I still have like my Messenger and WhatsApp and stuff, but I was just spending too much time on it and not appreciating what was going on around me, I think. I was very obsessed with my own image, I think. And then was just like, okay, it's now or never. Just take a break.
I think a lot of people are in the same book.
Yeah, it's tough though.
It certainly came across in the film that there was a lot of outside. Was that a very purposeful decision for something that's quite internal, to take everything outside a lot?
Yeah, I suppose that's like, I don't know, it's kind of funny when you write something that's all about how you feel in your head, but then again, how do you get outside of your head? Just go outdoors, I think, or write or read, but any form of escapism, I'm like, yeah, there. But also, again, with filming and COVID, it was like, as we're going to be outside as much as possible, be as safe as possible. But yeah, and Waterford's gorgeous. Like I didn't spend lockdown there, but I wish I had, because I was seeing the same canal every day, but I was like, okay, I get out,
And given how happy you were with the collaborative process of filming, challenges notwithstanding, do you still see it going forward as a piece of theatre, or are you are you hooked into it as a film now?
God, I'm a bit greedy. I'm like, let's do both. Because I would love to see it on stage. Like that was the dream. But yeah, it was just a really incredible experience working with other people and having like their creative input as well. Because it just makes everything, I think, better when you have other people there, you know. But yeah, definitely greedy because I want it to be on stage, but I'm also like, we could make a whole film. Like there's so much in everyone's heads, you know, and I'm like, there's so much there to play with. So yeah, I'm going to be greedy and say both.
And maybe a book and
oh yeah, this is the whole thing. This is the this is it.
Could I just ask, because it is such a free form sort of thing, is in the larger piece, is there more of a narrative arc?
Yeah, see, that's something that was also an interesting experience. Like this again is just like I suppose a preview of what would be to come, because it was like a 20-minute piece and then that's an 8-minute film. So we had to cut the script down to 6 minutes when it should have been 20 minutes. So it's just really like snapshots of things, you know. There definitely would be a better arc, as you say, more of a story, because we got, like, I was a bit precious about it at the start, to be honest. I was like, no, we make a 20-minute film. And then I was like, oh, we don't have the budget or time to do that. So yeah, it was cut, but like, I still think it's beautiful. And I think there's a lot more there for people to see.
Great. Well, listen, we'd better finish up. Thank you very much for sending that in. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you. And well done to everyone.
Thank you. On behalf of the Imagine Arts Festival, I'd like to thank you for watching. I'd like to thank all our contributors for pivoting and sending in these videos, which I think were great. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors and, of course, the Arts Council and Waterford County Council and City Council for supporting the festival. Thank you very much and good night.